Ambrosia, the food of the Greek gods. High above the Aegean, where wind scours the bare rock of ancient summits, the Greeks built temples to gods they believed were immortal. Torchlight flickered against marble columns, incense drifted through sanctuaries carved from stone, and somewhere beyond mortal reach, the Olympians feasted on a substance known as ambrosia. The myths are remarkably consistent. Ambrosia was the food of the gods. Nectar was their drink. Together, these substances sustained divine life and granted what no mortal could possess: freedom from aging, freedom from death. Homer describes ambrosia as fragrant and luminous. Pindar calls it the privilege of heaven. Mortals who tasted it, the poets warned, did so at terrible risk, for it was never meant for human hands. But what was it? Some interpreters read ambrosia as pure metaphor. It was a literary device separating the divine from the mortal, the eternal from the perishable. In this view, ambrosia represents the line between what the gods are and what we can never become. Others have looked for earthly explanations. Ethnobotanists have proposed that ambrosia may echo a real plant, perhaps a psychoactive mushroom, or perhaps a honey-based fermentation infused with rare herbs. The ancient world possessed pharmacological knowledge far more sophisticated than we often credit. It is not unreasonable to ask whether ambrosia was, at its root, an extraordinary medicine, one whose origins were eventually cloaked in myth. A more speculative theory draws from early chemistry. Could ambrosia represent a proto-alchemical formula, a compound designed to slow cellular decay or alter human consciousness? The ancients may not have had laboratories, but they had millennia of empirical observation. Some researchers believe those observations produced substances we have yet to rediscover. And then there is the furthest reach of theory. Some fringe hypotheses have suggested that ambrosia was not of this world at all, that it was an engineered life extension serum introduced by non-human visitors and remembered imperfectly through the language of myth. Skeptics note the obvious: no physical trace of ambrosia has ever been found, no residue in a temple vessel, no recipe on a buried tablet. What survives is story. And a story, however vivid, is not evidence. However, a counterpoint to this would be the story of Troy and the eventual finding of that, quote, fabled, unquote, city. And yet the longing itself is worth examining. Across nearly every civilization, Greek, Hindu, Chinese, Mesoamerican, and more, we find myths of a substance that grants eternal life: soma, the peaches of immortality, the water of life. The pattern is too consistent to ignore, even if its meaning remains uncertain. Perhaps ambrosia tells us less about the gods than about ourselves, about the quiet, persistent ache to transcend the limits of the body, to taste something that lifts us, however briefly, beyond the reach of time.